All right, this is 6.1 number 4. Had some questions on just evaluating these radical expressions. So, for example, on A, right, if we're taking the fourth root of 81, what we're doing here is we're trying to figure out which number, so let's call that x. We're trying to figure out which number raised to the fourth, so x raised to the fourth is equal to 81. So in other words, what number can I multiply by itself 4 times to get 81? So here's the radical notation right here. And here's sort of the exponential way to write the same thing. So without a calculator, you're just trying to think about, whole numbers that could do this job. So we think about, all right, well, if I took the number 2, right, 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, or 2 to the fourth, well, that's equal to 16, so it can't be that. If you go to the number 3, you get to your answer, right? So the 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 is 81, or 3 to the fourth is equal to 81, so that's an answer. But you also have to remember that in this problem, since it's a even numbered root, right? It's an even numbered root. Also, if I took negative 3 and I raised it to the fourth, I'm also going to get 81. In other words, if I took negative 3 and I multiplied it, negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3, that's also going to give me 81. So when we evaluate these expressions, we're asking ourselves this question right here. We're trying to figure out what is x. So the answer to this first one is going to be plus or minus 3. Both of those would work. So again, you're not using a calculator, but you're trying to figure out it by hand. But because you're trying to do it by hand, the numbers are going to be integers. They're going to be whole numbers. So, try to figure it out by yourself. If for some reason you get stuck, you can always check it on your calculator and see if you got it right. So let's try another one on number 4. Let's do f. So here we have the fifth root of negative 32, and then that's raised to the fourth. So what I want to do is I'm going to do this part first. Right? I'm just going to worry about the fifth root of negative 32, and then once I get that answer, I can raise it to the fourth. So the fifth root of negative 32, this is going to ask the question, which number raised to the fifth is equal to negative 32? That's the question that I'm, thinking about here. In other words, which number can I multiply by itself 5 times to get 32? So start with the lowest number here. Start with 2, right? 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, or 2 to the fifth. That's your number. It's 32. So 2 to the fifth is 32, but if I want to get negative 32, well then obviously the number has to be negative 2. Because negative 2 raised to the fifth is equal to negative 32. Right? So this first part, I'm going to put over here, but this first part, when I evaluate the fifth root of negative 32, my answer there is just negative 2. Okay, and then here's kind of the work or the thought process behind that. Now when I take this whole negative 2, and now I raise it to the fourth, okay, well then I can just evaluate this as normal. Negative 2 to the fourth, negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. Well, I know that is going to be a positive, and this is going to be a 16 there. Let's do one more while we're at it. G. Okay, so if I'm doing G, I'm going to do this part first, the fourth root of 625. So off to the side here, I'm thinking about the question, which number can I multiply by itself 4 times? That's going to give me 625. In other words, what to the fourth equals 625? Okay, so that's going to be, if I think about 3, I know 3 to the fourth is 81. If I think about 4 to the fourth is 256. And this next one is it has to be 5, right? 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 is 625. So this right here is going to be 5. And if I do that, well, then this is going to be, 5 in here. But remember, if I have a fourth root of 625, technically that's plus or minus, right? That's a plus or minus because negative 5 to the fourth and positive 5 to the fourth, they're both 625. So really, this is going to be like a plus or minus here, okay, as my answer. And then that is raised to the third power. So we really kind of have two different answers here. We have 5 cubed, but then we have negative 5 cubed. All right, so my answer is also going to be plus or minus in this case because 5 cubed is just 125. And negative 5 cubed is negative 125. So my answer should be plus or minus 125.